Let's cross over now to our London studio where Juliana Olayinka is standing by to analyze today's business headlines. Good morning, Juliana. Tell us, how are investors at your end digesting yesterday's economic warning from the U.S. Fed, and how is that going to shape the trading day?
Good morning, Bissy. Well, it's not a great start here in London today. Of course, the COVID-19 pandemic has always been on markets' mind. But I think now, especially because we've had some really grim data out of the UK yesterday, that's really the driving force behind the FTSE this morning. It opened lower by about 50 points. The pound is 0.22% down against the dollar. So we do know that the UK economy contracted in the first quarter by just over 2%, but I think it's that 25% warning that we had from the Bank of England for the second quarter. They suggested that last week, and that was echoed by the Chancellor Rishi Sunak yesterday, that Britain is facing a really deep recession. So that's clearly the major driver. But also as well, there are fears of a second wave of the pandemic. Britain have literally just dipped their toe in to start easing down lockdowns. But we have seen, according to data and statistics coming out of South Korea, Germany and China that have loosened their lockdown, that the infection rate is picking up again. So there are major concerns over both of those things.
Insurance market Lloyd's of London says it expects coronavirus-related claims to cost its $3 billion to $4.3 billion. And of course, that's its biggest payout since the September 11, 2001 attacks in the U.S. How is the company actually bracing up for this?
Well, this is interesting. This is the first kind of major report and research that we're getting from an insurer. Here in Britain, they face a lot of criticism about how they've been handling some customers. Of course, there are several people that can claim under COVID if an event has been cancelled, but there are more people who cannot. So they have been under the quash. But now Lloyd's of London have said that it will cost them about $3 to $4 billion. And they say that they can afford it. They say they've got enough stacked away to get them through this period. They have compared it to Hurricane Katrina that happened in America, I believe, in 2005, and the September 11th attacks. Now, globally, it's expected to cost $200 billion. So this could potentially be the costliest event on record. And that's because they're paying for so many events that have been cancelled. If you think of all those big concert events, now they may not have been covered under COVID-19, but they've definitely been covered under business interruptions or cancellation of events. So that's what they're taking into account. I believe that they think insurers can handle the big impact immediately, but what they're worried about is customers and their clients and whether or not they can handle those big premiums that we'll expect after this.
The UK economy begins to pick up with the easing of the lockdown. What's the future of the UK car industry as that sector gradually comes back to life?
Well, we know because we've discussed it throughout the course of this year and last year that the UK car industry has been struggling, really, especially in the wake of Brexit. There are a lot of manufacturers that have been contemplating taking their production over to mainland Europe. And it's also easier and cheaper to produce most things in China. It employs about 800,000 people here in the UK. And like most sectors over the past almost 2 months, it has been a complete shutdown. There were almost zero cars sold in the month of April. And so there are some car plants that have begun to open under Prime Minister Boris Johnson's new rules. Most of them, including BMW, will start opening their plants up on Monday. But there are several issues. Of course, the social distancing comes into play, which means you can't have as many people as you would have in working within the factory. And also as well, people are only going to buy cars if they're available. Some people do buy cars online, but they like to go into a showroom, feel it and test drive it. Car showrooms are not expected to open until at least the 1st of July. And most importantly, people only like to buy new cars if they can afford it. And considering where the UK economy is heading, there are fears that buying a new car is not going to be as important as putting dinner on the table.
Of course, everybody is struggling to stay alive this moment. Thank you, Juliana, for those updates, and we'll see you again at 1:30.
Thank you.